He's part postie, part coach, and all heart. Hey, I'm Shane Jacobson, and you're listening to How You're Travelling, a podcast from Healthy Heads. Now, today, I'm joined by Glenn, a postie and ADAPS coach. We'll talk about what that is in a moment, helping new recruits stay safe, confident, and supported on the road. He's proof that a good chat can go a long way. Welcome to the show, Glenn. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, thank you, Shane. How are you going?
Mate, I'm fantastic. I have to ask, I said how you going, but the thing I want to ask really is I've got to ask how you're travelling.
I'm travelling really well at this point in time. It's been a lovely day here in Sydney, and I've been out on the roads delivering again today, and I'm feeling really, really good. I'm looking forward to the long weekend, and it's great.
You've got a long weekend coming up. That's the best part of life, surely. A long weekend.
Yeah. Until you come back on the Monday and you see how much mail from the Friday on the Monday.
You know, if you don't come back into work on a Monday, you can make any weekend a long weekend. But anyway, the employees don't want to hear that, do they? Now, mate, I said at the intro there at the top that you're an ADAPS coach. Now, that won't mean much to our listeners, but what you do is, firstly, we've got to explain what you do for a job. You train Australia Post staff, the ones that are on those three-wheel motorbikes that we see going around, or they're sort of an electric vehicle, aren't they? You train our posties on those, don't you?
That's correct. I train them on the EDVs, which we call them, or affectionately we call them tuk-tuks. So they're a pretty awesome thing to first deal with when you get on them. They're big, they're cumbersome. There's got 2 speeds on them. One's the turtle mode, which won't allow you to go anything over 9 kilometres an hour on the footpath, which is the law. But when you're on the road, because they are registered to ride on the road, you flick it into bunny mode, and they will go, depending on what model you have, they will go up to 50 kilometres an hour. Or if you got one of the new ones that we have from Taiwan, I think, they'll do about 90 on the road.
Oh, 90. That's quick.
Yeah, they move.
Now, I don't want to turn this into a political podcast, but you were saying the law is 9 kilometres an hour on a footpath. These kids on these electric scooters that are too fast for a footpath and too slow for a road, are they a nightmare for you? I've got to ask. Come on, people listening want to hear this conversation. It's not part of what the podcast is about, but I want to know.
Yeah. But yes, they are. They're like mosquitoes. They zip in and out and around. And you'll also find that the elderly people on their little motorised scooters are a bit of a problem as well.
Why are they a bit of a problem? I've got to ask. Come on, you said it.
They get the cranks because they're stuck behind you, because they can go faster than what we can on the race. Yeah. And then sometimes I've been challenged if I wanted to race.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I've been asked twice if I want to have a race.
So there's electrified nannies out there going, come on, how about a drag race? Yeah. That's fantastic.
And I'll only accept if they give me a head start.
So, mate, so your job. The reason we wanted to talk to you is because you're in a role in your workplace where you're training people, and what you have to do is when you go out into the workplace, and in particular, what you're doing is you're assessing the ability of employees to be on these three-wheeled EDVs, electric delivery vehicles, to check that they're able to operate them in a safe way safe for themselves and safe for society and the public, of course. But I imagine there becomes a time when during that assessment period that you go, look, they're probably not up to scratch, if you will, for the want of better terms, and that they may have to then go back for retraining and come off the road and footpath for a while. That's true, isn't it? That sometimes you have to make that call.
That's true, because you're looking after their safety as well. Because if you just tick them off and say, yeah, they're fine and that, you will feel responsible if something happens. And we do have incidents happen with on Sydney roads. They're a bit of a nightmare. And we've had a couple of incidents where people have been injured on the EDVs. But if someone's not capable of riding one, then I wouldn't recommend them. I'd just go, no, they're not suitable for that mode of delivery, and it's better for them, it's better for me, and it's better for the company to looking after them to save any heartache down the road.
So the reason I bring this up and ask you about that scenario when they've got a job, they've been trained to do something, and you go out to reassess how they're going in the actual work situation, and you have to say, look, I don't think this is for you, or you require retraining. The reason I want to talk to you about this is because there is a correlation between self-esteem and mental health. That any individual, sometimes that they find identity for themselves in what they do, that in some way it defines them, and then you find yourself in this situation where you have to say to them, you're just not quite up to scratch with the skills required to do this job. So we just want to talk to you about that, Will, because it must be hard for you to have to make an assessment and go for the health and well-being, for the physical health and well-being of that individual. I have to make a decision that may in some way affect their self-esteem and thus potentially their mental health. So what do you find in those situations, and what sort of things do you have to do to assist those individuals?
Well, usually when I take a new person out, I will assess them. I will give them a minimum of 4 days and up to 2 weeks. Now, if they haven't mastered the skills that's required to ride the EDV, or it's not really the skills, it's the confidence and that behind riding one of these things on the roads with the traffic and everything. On the footpath, everybody's fine because they're going slow. There's not a lot of obstacles to deal with. But once you get off the footpath and onto the roads, that's where the mental side of it comes into it. And that's what you've got to look at, because they do have to travel on the road from point A to point B to begin. And then they may have to get on the road again to travel to another point, and so on and so on. So if they're a little bit gun shy, for lack of a better word, to get onto the roads, that's where I will really study it, and then we'll pull over and we'll have words, and I'll, not harsh words or anything like that, just I'll encourage them and tell them what might suit them better to do this type of thing on the roads and stuff like that. But if after 2 weeks they really haven't got it mastered, then I will sit down with them and explain to them step by step why. I'm not going to tick them off to become an EDV rider, and in the end it'll be, it's just a matter of safety, and I'm looking after your safety, because it does become a mental stress, like trying to work out where to go, because these things do not go very fast and they don't pick up very quick, and it can play on people's minds going, oh, am I going to make it? Am I going to make that corner? Am I going to do this? Because you can only go around a corner at a certain speed, otherwise they'll roll. So you basically goes around at 20. If you go faster than, say, 25, it will tip. And that becomes another, oh, am I going to, you've got to try and get them away from thinking of that and try and calm them down and just, talk to them through the whole process up to the point where you decide yes or no.
So, mate, you've already helped me with my segue. So thank you, because you're helping me doing my job. Before, you were saying we're going to pull over if you've realised that they're experiencing some trouble or not quite grasping how something needs to happen, or the safest or best way of doing something. Yep. And you said if that happens, we're going to pull over to the side of the road and have words. And then you said, well, not actual words of encouragement. Yep. Encouragement's the theme I want to tap on here, because the importance of encouragement in a workplace, because as soon as they feel like they've failed, and we're going back to that theme of self-esteem is related to mental health, that as soon as they feel like they're not doing well or they're not succeeding, and therefore that can upset them and affect their self-esteem, encouragement's the way to get them through, isn't it? And in a workplace where we're trying to make it safe and make them feel like a contributor, let alone just an employee, it is encouragement, isn't it? And do you find that they absorb the information better when they're encouraged to learn rather than being penalised for not getting it right?
Oh, absolutely. I had an incident where I had a young fella, he was going out, and in the morning you could see the nervousness in his face, and he was saying to me, oh, look, I don't drive much, my wife does all the driving, I don't drive at night, and all that. So I took that on board, and we started off slow, and I kept him on the footpaths, even though there might be a long dead ride, as we call it, from one delivery point to another. I didn't want to put him on busy O'Reardon Street, down here that goes down
Yeah.
to the Sydney airport.
Yeah, no,
You'd know it.
more than busy enough.
So I didn't want to put him on there on his first day and in the morning. And then as I'm behind them, because you can't watch somebody if you're in front through your mirrors because you're busy watching what's in front of you. So I tend to stay behind them so I can watch what they're doing because they know where to go on their delivery round. So I don't need to show them that, but I just watch what they do. And you can pick up little things that, he's a bit nervous on that corner. He's a bit nervous here. So what we did, I pulled him over and I said to him, I said, mate, I'm here to help you and I'm going to do everything in my power to help you. I would not put you in a situation that will cause you harm or damage or myself. I will not make you do anything that's unsafe. I will not make you do anything, that isn't beyond your capabilities. And we'll just take it slow and work it on. We've got 2 weeks if we have to take it every day for 2 weeks. And we went from that and he started riding. The guy I got back that afternoon was totally different to the fellow I took out in the morning. He was more confident. He had much more, as you said, self-esteem and that. And as the days went on, I think I can go on the road at this bit. I think I can do more on the road and, from travel from A to B. And well, I go, okay, let's try with that. We'll work with that. And away we went. And in the end, I basically only had to be with him for 5 days because the difference between the guy on the Tuesday and the guy on the Monday, the following Monday, was chalk and cheese. And he was so confident and I was so proud of him the way he just took it on board and I encouraged him and we pull over and we have little things. And then I say, look, I saw you do this, but watch me and I'll show you a different way or just try it this way. And I would show him and I'd let him decide that's a good way to do it. I had another young lady just recently. We went on her run and she was a bit nervous about riding these big things. So we just took it slow and I gave her encouragement. I said, look, there's no hurry. We've got all day today and we'll just work our way through it every day. And then I showed her a different way to do her run. I said, why don't you do the businesses in the morning? They'll appreciate getting their mail early in the morning and you don't have as much foot traffic because she was doing along Botany Road. And it's Botany Road with foot traffic will build up more in the afternoon. But she became much more open to the ideas and that. So you could see that she was like, okay, I can do that. So you could see her self-esteem and her encouragement, is that the right word?
Yeah.
To do this. And we changed the run around so she got away from Botany Road early in the morning and she could do the domestic side of it with the houses and all that later on during the day, which is much more easier because you're only doing that 9 kilometres. You're not having to move and get away from people. And then there's also coffee shops setting up with chairs on the sidewalk, which is another obstacle that you have to go around and work your way through. Otherwise, you're dragging a customer all the way down, sipping on their coffee all the way down Botany Road.
But it's such a good point you make. That encouragement thing, again, if we call that the heading of what we were just talking about.
Yep.
I remember going for my driver's license, a long while ago now, going for my driver's license, and I had a similar experience with when I got my truck license, and that was that both of the people I happened to pick as driver trainers, who I thought were fantastic as driver trainers, basically said words to the effect of, "Mate, you're going to get your license. I'm going to help you. My job is to help you get your license."
Yep.
And I still remember because as a young kid, I was nervous. I was desperate to get my license. I'd already purchased a car. I was sitting in the driveway as an 18-year-old. I had a car ready to go. I just wanted to hit the road, Couldn't wait to hit the open road. And of course, I was nervous because I so wanted this thing that, as you know, the more you want something, the more nervous you are that you're not going to get it. But I still remember them both calming me down. The same as when I got in a truck, going from a semi-ticket. And he's like, "Mate," they both said similar things. "Mate, just relax. It's cool. My job, I'm paid to help you get your license. So I'm going to teach you everything you need to know and then some so that you get your license." And it immediately changed my mindset to thinking, I just need to listen to this person so that I get my license. But what I was nervous about was there was some person that had all the knowledge and I had none. I had, of course, I knew how to drive a car. I used to drive around paddocks and do all that stuff. But I felt like they had all the knowledge that I needed, and I didn't know how I was going to extract it all out of them to get the thing that I wanted most. But what they did in their terminology was it changed it to, I'm paid, my job is to help you get your license. So together we're going to do this. And it just turned me from a terrified brick into an empty sponge ready to soak up all the knowledge. And it's such a great point you make that, and again, let's put it under the heading of encouragement. But there's something else too that I know that you've identified, that people's problems don't stay with them at home. People's problems that happen to them on a weekend or in their home, they don't stay at home. They come to work with them. And that's something you're great at identifying and working with. First, what made you think about that in a workplace to know that was a problem, and how do you counter that?
Well, because you see these people every day, you see their different mood swings as they come in. So if they've come into work one day and they're happy and they've had a good night's sleep and everything, you can work with that. But if they come in and they're not happy, or as you said, something's happened on the weekend, then you've got to try and work them around that. So what I try and do is well, you probably know better than me, make them laugh. Bring up a point that, bring up something, because I always try and find something funny in every situation. I always look for that one thing, and I that's what I point out. And you'll find that it doesn't take long before they're out of that grumpy mood and they're in a good mood. And then the communication, and you just talk to them in a low, calm voice. You don't, because you might be getting frustrated because they are cranky, you don't yell at them, and you don't raise your voice. You just talk to them in a calm mood, and then you might see something. Oh, I just see that. See what happened there, and go through it and have a little story and make it a little funny situation, and that. Or I'll tell them a funny situation that happened to me on the weekend, or something like that, just to lighten the mood, get them up and ready to go. And you'll find that all of a sudden they're open again, and that communication's back and forth, that they're taking the knowledge in. Because what I say to them, not that I'm paid to teach you, I'm here to teach you and try and make you like me, and make you know everything that I know and be where I am. And I want you to be mini me's, and I try and teach them the right way to do things and the safest way to do things, but I do it in a way where I'm not bombarding them with too much information. You can see if you're going too far and they're not taking things in. You know what I mean? You can see it in their eyes and in their face.
Because sometimes I find the face frowns when the record's not, when their brain's not recording. You know what I mean? They're a bit open-eyed, going yeah, and there's a frown, the happy frown, which is right, cool. And you can see that the record button is pressed in their brain. And then when the look of hope in their eyes disappears, but the frown now looks like a proper frown, that's when you go, oh man, that tape recorder's on pause. They're not on record at the moment. You go, are you still with me? I can back up. Let me know.
They're not taking it all in, and it's just stopped, and they're looking at it, and you got that look, and you go, right, and you say to yourself, okay, too much information at the moment. We'll just work on this one. So that's another thing that you do. You work on certain things on that day, and then next day, right, we'll work on that, but we'll add a little thing to it. We'll add something else, and then the next day we'll add something else. So you're starting to cover, and they're starting to go, all right, I'm comfortable with this. Now we can work on this little bit. Oh, I'm comfortable with that. We can work on this little bit. And you can see their performance getting better and better and better. Because I also use it, I don't know if they told you, I used to be the Australian women's indoor soccer coach. So I would use the same techniques.
I was going to bring that up. I was going to bring that up very soon, but I'm glad you did. Keep going, because this is why you're such an amazing coach. And this is why I was desperate to have you on the show, mate.
Because that's what I would do. I would work on little things with the girls, and then we would work on something else after they've got the hang of that, and you go, oh, all right, it's like second nature, and we work on this and we work on this, but you don't push them over their limit, and that it's too much overload. They haven't taken it all in, and that will muck it up. Another thing that I always do is with the girls, I wouldn't criticize someone in front of everyone. I would never ever criticize anyone in front of the team. or I would take them aside and have a quiet word and say, look, this is what you're doing. We need to change it, and that. And so it's not embarrassing them in front of the team, so everyone stares at them and they feel embarrassed, and then you've lost that player or you've lost that employee because you've had to go at them in front of other employees. You always pull them aside, and that. And that's how I work all the time, because I had some great coaches that worked with me when I was growing up, and just have a little quiet word, and it means so much. And you know, and you go, oh right, okay, I can work on that. And also, like, you don't go up to someone and go, yeah, you had a great game, even though they've made 100 mistakes. You go, oh yeah, you had a great game, good work. They're never going to get any better. And it's the same with doing the EV. You have to point out the things that they're doing wrong, so that's the things that we work on, and that's the things we focus on. If you keep saying to someone, yeah, you had a good day or you had a good game and all that, they're not going to get any better. They're going to stay at that same level thinking, oh, what I do is right. You know, they're not going to have that go, oh, what if I try harder at this bit, or what if I change it for this bit? You know, these are the things I've got to work on. That's what I look for, the little things that need to be worked on. The stuff that they already know, I don't have to work on that. It's the little things where they make their mistakes, which will make them a better player or a better worker or just a better person. You know what I mean? It's that's what I work and focus on. And then I also do it with a joke and encouragement, and that, like, there will be a technique where we teach the girls. We have the goalkeeper in goals, and we have all the girls lined up around the D, and I'll say, go, and they all take a shot at the keeper. But all of a sudden, at one point, we'll have all the girls, and when I say now, they'll all kick it at the same time, and the goalkeeper's not ready for it. And all of a sudden, she's got all these balls coming at her, and everyone's having a laugh and a good time. The parents are laughing, you know, but I also say, don't kick it hard.
Yeah. We're not here to take someone out. We're here to have a gig.
So,
but all that stuff, which I know you do so well, mate, is all with encouragement, and that's the thing. If at the end of a bad game, you know, I get your point that you can't be going great game. You go, hey, you know, a great game. Few things. If you do say, look, good game. A couple of things we want to work on just to get you to that next step, to get you better, to get you further. And the reason we wanted to talk to you on this show is because, again, it's been said before and I'll say it again, prevention is better than cure, as we all know. Yes. And that's why we want to talk about people in a workplace, if their self-esteem is up because they're doing their job well, because they've been taught right and been coached the right way, and you know the world of coaching better than most, then they're happy with the job they're doing. And if they're doing that, again, their esteem's up, and that their mental health is sitting at a good level, and then they can have a good day. And the reason we want people to hear this is if they're in a position where they're old enough to be either asked to be a mentor, or just by default they're a mentor because they've been in a workplace longer than someone who hasn't been in that workplace as long. These are the kind of tactics we want them to take on board, to go to someone, look, have you considered doing it this way? Can I show you the way I do it? Not saying what you're doing is wrong, but I've been doing it this way, and it's been highly successful for me in the past. Like, you start wording things like that, and next thing you know, they want the knowledge, don't they? And that,
correct.
And mate,
but to be a coach, you want someone who's got that personality that can, you know, work with the person and not be just, oh, I'm the coach and this is what we're going to do. And you've got to have a person that can interact properly and understand, look at the person and gauge where they are and what levels you have to be at to get the knowledge into them and get some response out of them, but not in a, like, all right, this is what we're doing. No, you did that wrong. Do this. You know what I mean? Like, what if we try it this way? What do you think? Always ask for their feedback, but and then when I've trained them, like, so I've done my 4 days or 5 days or 2 weeks, the first day they go out by themselves, you're not with them. That's the test. And when they go out, I will go up to them after the next day and go, how did you go? How did you feel? Did you feel all right? Did you feel uncomfortable? Do you want another day? You know, and you'll find that they go, oh no, I went really well. I did really good. They're very well, they're full of life and energy in that. And then that spreads out without the group. They come in all happy and looking forward to doing it. And they're happy, and so it spreads within the group of the other posties or the team. You know, you want everyone up. You don't want, if someone's down, you know, how can we get this guy up or this girl up to where we need it to be?
Because a good vibe is infectious, isn't it? That's the thing.
Oh, absolutely.
A good vibe is totally infectious. Glenno, the importance of peer chats and team culture is something that I wanted to throw at you because, again, you come from a coaching background.
Yep.
That importance, as I said, of peer chats and team culture, you tell me, because you know the space so well, how important is that, not only in a sporting team, but in a workplace?
It's very important, especially in a workplace, because a lot of the times people won't talk to their team leader or they won't talk to their managers, but they will talk to their workmates. And that's where you want them to talk, really. They'll open up to their workmates. So if you've got encouragement, if you don't know something, go and ask your workmate, or especially the guys who have been there for a little while, and they'll give you some advice. You know, everyone's willing to give advice. And these people go, oh, well, I can turn to Shane and ask him about something and he'll tell me the right thing. Or he'll say, look, I don't really know, but if you ask such and such, they can guide you in the right direction. So the closeness of your team, like the team I'm in, there's a couple of us guys, we go motorbike riding together outside of work. We go camping together. We go on the motorbikes together. You know, we have that little bond. We have a little social group that we have on the phone. We text each other. We play little jokes and backstab each other, and for, you know, if you know what I mean, and have little digs at each other. We have that little group that we can rely on, because one of the boys recently just lost his mum, so we have that group that we can fall back on for you know, a cuddle or a talk or anything. We know that we're always there, and that's what you want. You want that little group there to encourage someone. If they feel bad, get everyone around them or someone around them to and you know, it doesn't have to be me as the adapt coach. It could be anybody in the team, and that's what we try and encourage here at Australia Post, that everyone works together. Are you okay? We do that. So for mental health, for physical health, for anything. So someone's not alone here at work. They have someone to talk to or to turn to, you know, and it can confidentially, you know, if they want to come and talk to me, it's just between us. You know, I'm not going to go and spread it to, you know, oh, do you know what such and such said and all that. You just keep it in-house, but you try and encourage them and pick them up and lift them and hold them if you have to. But that work group environment is very important.
Well, mate, I'm so thrilled to have you on the show. You know, when we had read about and heard about just how you kind of conduct yourself in a workplace, as, you know, not just as a boss figure, but as more of a coach in a workplace. It's just, we just went, what a unique way of looking at it, because I can't help but think that your coaching mentality in coaching people rather than telling people, like coaching people into learning skills that help their employment, is just such a great mindset for employees to think about like this. And, you know, you instinctively do it because you do in the workplace what you do on a sports field, which I love. So we just, you know, thank you so much for coming on and giving us kind of your unique take on it.
People have asked me, and they go, why are you happy all the time? Why do you smile all the time? Like, I could go out my run and people recognise me with the helmet and everything because of the smile. And I go, I don't know. It's just the way I am, the way I look at things. I don't focus on time or anything. Time's irrelevant to me. I just focus on the moment. I don't look ahead too far. I'm just who I am. I've just got that personality where I'm just friendly and happy and funny. Like, I'll take something, and my mind runs away with some sketch. I should send them to you. And that, so, you know, we usually joke that back in the old days they got rid of horses because the postman kept falling off trying to put the mail in the box, you know, and
which is probably true.
Probably. That's why we got shorter vehicles.
So, mate, some very important questions. First, best male soccer player ever to have played the game. Come on, you're a soccer coach.
David Beckham.
There you go. Best female soccer player ever to play the game.
Her name escapes me at the moment. She was she's the striker for Brazil. Marta. Yeah. The way she used to come from the striker back in the midfield and pick the ball up, so the defence didn't know where she was, and she would turn up somewhere else. And where strikers just stay in the middle of the park and you can pick them up pretty easy. But she would drift into midfield and back around and turn up somewhere else.
Because the others are waiting for this. Is it because the others are waiting for the silver bullet, and she's like, no, I'm going to find my own space. Yeah.
I'm going to find it. I'm going to come back and support, but I'm going to go over here, and then I could turn up over there. And she scored 109 international goals and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's better to, like, if you just stand there and you're easy to mark. But if you move around, and the fullbacks will go, well, this is my job as a fullback. I can't. That's your department in the midfield. But all of a sudden she's over, you know what I mean? So I like players to move. With indoor soccer, the players, it teaches them to move and create space and move for other players for them to run into, or move into space to play a ball into. It's all technical stuff.
It is technical stuff. That's why you're a coach. So here's some of the questions that we ask all of our guests. So what's the one thing about your job, not in training, but as a postie, that surprises most people?
That I turn up every day, every single day, and I'm happy. I'm happy.
It's the happy bit that confuses them. They wouldn't be surprised you turn up, but you turn up happy.
When I was growing up, my grandfather and my dad would encourage me to, like, sick days are there for when you're sick, not just to have a day off and that. And to be honest with you, at the moment, I could have a year and a half off on full pay because I have that much sick leave and that. I just turn up. The boys here call me the queen bee. If I'm not here, it's not as bright. And when I come in, it's the place is a little bit brighter and that. So I love coming in and having the banter with the boys. That's what I look forward to. Because if you do have a sick day, you're going, I wonder what happened at work today. I wonder what that was said. Wonder what was laughed about, because there's plenty of laughs here in our little group at Australia Post. And
well, mate, you talking about the banter, it just keeps coming up. It keeps coming up. Connection, the very thing. It's funny. We just always end up at the same exactly. Red dot in the middle of the dartboard, which is connection.
Exactly.
Now, this is a question that I'm only going to ask you. I'm saving it for you because I want to know the answer, and so does everyone listening, I reckon. Worst part and best part about being a postie. Worst part is you're going to say dogs. Everyone's going to suspect it's dogs.
No, not so much dogs. I've got a lot of dogs on my run, and I've been here for 30 years and I've never been bitten. Again, it's how you approach the dog. You can see if the dog's going to attack you or it's not. You can see the way the dog acts and well, I'm not going to go near that dog. But all of my dogs are pretty good. The worst part would be the torrential rain. But you say to yourself, like, you'll pull under shelter and you'll stand there for a couple of minutes because, you go, and then you go, well, this is not getting it done. And I usually go, righto, 1, 2, 3, and out you go.
Bang.
Back into the rain. And
so the best part, worst part, rain, best part of being a postie?
The best part is meeting the people, talking to the customers and meeting the older people and having a little conversation with them and finding out about them and part of their lives and things, how they were back in their day. And they're so interesting and they don't care. They just say anything. They don't sugarcoat it. They'll just tell you the truth. And working with the public is the best thing. Working in the torrential rain is the worst thing.
Well, mate, I've got to say, by the very nature of your job as a postie, you are the deliverer. A poster. Yeah, well, you might. I reckon you're the poster. You're the poster boy for Australia Post, I reckon. What I was going to say was, mate, by the very nature of your job as a postie, you are the deliverer of both good and bad news, just by default of what you do, by delivering messages. But you deliver a great message for employers and employees, mate, in the way that you conduct yourself in the workplace as a coach and a mentor. And thank you so much for coming on the show, mate.
Yes.
You can stay on the line with me while I actually give you your outro, because it goes like this. That was Glenn, and this is how we're going to describe you, Glenn. You get to hear this live. Calm, considered, and a great reminder that small wins matter, because you do all the little things that make such a big difference, mate. Here's my outro. You get to hear me do it. I'm Shane Jacobson, and this is How You're Travelling, a podcast from Healthy Heads. For more information like this, just head over to the next episode. Keen for more ways to look after your head? The Healthy Heads app has got your back. Glenn, you're a champion. Thank you so much for what you do on the roads. Can you say goodbye to our listeners?
Thank you so much.
Well, that's it. You and me, we've done our job. What do you say you and me go and meet in the field and try and kick a few goals?
I'll show you how to do it.
Mate, let's go and do this. Spend it like Beckham. All right, folks, take care out there. We'll see you on the road, folks. All right, Glenn. Let's go and kick that ball.
Let's do it.
If you're doing it tough, don't go it alone. TX, aka This Is a Conversation Starter, offers 8 free counselling sessions for truckies, tradies and blue-collar workers. No cost, no GP referral, no fuss. Just call 0488 846 988. That number again, 0488 846 988. And if you're feeling overwhelmed and need support right away, call Lifeline on 13 11 14. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.